Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me today. Today we are using the new release, or part of the new release. This one is called Just Because. It's this really cute branch with these three little birds and the little bird cage, and we're going to go ahead and do some masking today, masking a background. So I've already created this card previously with this set, and I just took a shaped die from my stash and I masked that off and I created that background, and we're going to do the same thing today with masking off a background, but these are the little birds. So it comes with kind of the body of the bird, and then you've got the face, and then you've got the other pieces, which are the face pieces and the feet, and then the wings as well. And we're going to go ahead and use this cute little bird today. So I used the bird that has kind of that little fluff in the front, and then it's got a little tail piece as well, and I colored that with my undistressed oxides. So we're going to go ahead and get started on the card background. I'm going to use this die as a frame around my masked area, and I didn't really want to, you can definitely cut out a square mask, but I wanted this shape to have kind of a white border around the outside, and so I'm going to use that die as I mentioned, for a frame. And so this is what I'm using as my guide to do my masking. You could definitely use masking paper for this and just cut the shape out and do it that way, but I'm going to go ahead and take some masking tape. The cardstock I'm using for this is Accent Opaque White. I've found that using Hammermill, it's a little temperamental sometimes, and it will often tear if you use any type of adhesive on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the a darker color or a lighter color for my background, which I've already blended, and then I'm taking this cloud stencil and a darker color and making the clouds in the background. I kind of messed up on the top because I had the stencil in the wrong direction, but luckily that's going to be covered a little bit by the bird cage, so I didn't worry about it too much. So I'm going to finish blending that cloud background, and then I'm going to carefully pull that tape off. So I found the easiest way to do this with the least amount of ripping the paper, and this paper is really good with knots, so it's just folding the tape over on itself and slowly rolling it back so that it does not tear the paper. But like I mentioned, this paper is really good about handling. It's a little bit of a heavier paper, and the fibers don't disrupt as easily, and so I had it was a little bit off center, and so I just took my trimmer and I cut a little bit off of the side so that it looks a little bit more even around both sides of that. And then we're going to start on creating everything that goes on top. So I've gone ahead and cut my frame using that die to go ahead and go around. And like I mentioned, there's a tiny little white border around that. And then for the bird cage, I cut this out 3 times. So this is going to be stacked a little bit. You could definitely use foam, but I found it easiest just to go ahead and cut that die out 3 times. There are 2 parts to the bird cage die. There's a background piece, which is a solid, and then the detail piece, which is what I used. And then you have the perch that you can use, as well as, I think there's 2 different perches, kind of that triangle, and then there is like a kind of a curved perch. I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to set the bird in the bird cage. This would be really fun for a shaker card, though, to add a piece of acetate and then put some things in that to use as a shaker. And then for the tree branch and the flowers and the leaves, I went ahead and I cut those out of some Hammermill cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and for the branch I am using some ink, so I'm just blending that ink onto the branch. And then for the flowers, I'm going to go ahead and use some alcohol markers. So really the only thing that I'm coloring are the leaves, and the leaves come in 2 parts. There is a solid die for the leaf, and then there is a little kind of detail piece, which is kind of like the veins of the leaf. And so I'm only going to color the solid pieces of the leaves, and then I will color the flowers as well. And then for the detail piece of the leaves, the veins, these cut out kind of these small little veins. And so I'm going to go ahead and pop those out of the die, and I'm just keeping these white. So I'm going to take my handy little tweezers and use that to hold while I add a little bit of glue, and then I'm just going to add those to each of the leaves. I only end up using 2 of the leaves for this card, but I'll go ahead and save those others for another project. But I'm going to go ahead and take that vein and just add it to the center of the leaves, and I'll repeat that process for all of them. For the flowers, I don't end up using those on this card, but they do have a center piece as well as the main piece. And then I'm going to try and get my layout correct. So I'm just going to figure out where I want that branch to lay on that frame, and so I added a little bit of adhesive to that frame, and I'll go ahead and pop that branch down on that. And then the bird cage is going to be hanging off of that bottom branch, so I went ahead and added that. And then I will go ahead and add a little bit of adhesive to the back so that I can glue that whole piece down. And you don't need to add glue like everywhere. I just did it on the main parts of this to make sure that it stays adhered. And so we'll go ahead and kind of center that over that ink blended rectangle that we did. And then for the bird, I am adding a little bit of foam to the top just because, if you'll remember, I went ahead and stacked the bird cage, and so it is a little bit popped off of the card. And so I went ahead and added a thin piece of foam to the back of the head, and then I added a little bit of glue to the bottom of the bird to add on to that bird cage. And then I'll go ahead and add the leaves, which is a good thing because I kind of got ink. I don't know if you can see it. I got ink on the top where that branch is, and so these leaves kind of hide my little boo-boo there. But I don't add a sentiment to this card. There is a die in the set that says just because, so there is a die with the words just because, but I just left the sentiment off, and when I do use this card, I'll probably just add a sentiment on the inside of the card. But then I added a little bit of gold watercolor, and so I went ahead and watered that down. I added a little bit to my brush, and I'm going to go ahead and splatter that over the card. And then for the background, I am using this paper pad. Is so beautiful. It is called Bella Flowers. It is a gorgeous paper pad. I didn't want to waste any of the pattern paper, so I just took 2 strips and put them on each side. Those are the only areas that are going to be shown once I put the card panel on there. So I went ahead and trimmed off the excess, and I'm going to add that card panel, and as you can see, there's just a little bit of that pattern paper peeking out, and that's going to finish off this card for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like this video, I would love a thumbs up. And again, here are both of the cards with those cute little birds. That is it for me. I would love it if you would subscribe to the Pixi Dust Designs YouTube channel for lots of inspiration from the design team. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time.